This week, we're in East London with a budding developer who wants to make his first move up the property ladder. But Stuart Bowman's an out-of-work actor with just £3,000 to spend. So to make as much money as possible, he's going to try to do all of the work himself. Welcome to the series that shows you how to make money from your property. It's not the size of your budget, it's what you do with it. And this is especially true on the bottom rung of the property ladder. Several years ago, I was temping with next to no cash, and now I run my own property company. And if I can do it, anyone can. Stuart Bowman's a struggling actor who spent more time out of work than in it recently. Even so, he's managed to scrape together £3,000 to do up his house. With a hefty mortgage, Stuart bought a two-bed terraced house on the outskirts of the capital over a year ago. It cost £90,500, and after sinking all his £3,000 savings into it, he hopes to sell it for £110,000. That's a profit of more than £16,000 to lever him up the property ladder. Stuart dreams of living in trendy Notting Hill, but one-bedroom flats there go for over $250,000. Still, if he gets it right now, he'll at least be able to afford to move closer to his dream. But if he does things wrong, he could stay stuck an hour and a half away across town in Plaistow, one of the very few areas of London where you can still buy a house for less than £100,000. So this is Plaistow High Street, what there is of it. I have to say, I think you've done exactly the right thing, getting onto the property ladder. My only concern is that whilst the surrounding areas appear to be coming up, Plaistow doesn't have any obvious signs of that yet. And it does still have quite a reputation for being quite rough.
My experience is of the complete opposite, actually.
But would you let your girlfriend walk back from the tube at night?
No.
In Plaistow, like many areas in Britain, there's no obvious signs of a housing boom, at least at the moment. If you want to eat out, there's only the local greasy spoon. If you want to shop, there are only basic grocery stores, cheap discount shops, and lots of tyre shops. It's not too far from the city, so it should eventually come up in value. But it'll be some years before the cappuccinos start flowing here. So without the market to increase his house price dramatically, it's all down to Stuart. The ground floor of his terraced house has a knock-through living dining room. This leads to a kitchen, and beyond that, a small junk room. Upstairs are 2 double bedrooms and 1 bathroom. Stuart's got simple plans which he hopes will raise the value. In the living area, he wants to have bare floors. The 60s fireplace will be thrown out, and he's going to put banisters on the stairs. He wants a brand new kitchen and plans to turn the junk room into an office. The old-fashioned decoration will be ripped out, and the upstairs will be carpeted. He wants a new bathroom suite, and he's planning to paint the whole house white. Outdoors, he's going to tidy up the garden and lay a new lawn.
Hello.
Hi, hello.
Come on in.
And all for just £3,000. It's always good to be optimistic, but it's a very small budget.
Yeah.
And with that sort of budget, you're going to have to do a lot of work yourself.
Yeah.
The staircase is
It's bizarre,
really
isn't it?
odd.
But I've kind of got used to it.
Do you like the house?
Yeah, I do. It's got a great feel to it, and the space is fantastic.
I think Stuart's not allocating his funds wisely. He wants to replace his kitchen, but on his budget he should make the most of the one he's got. New worktops, tiles, splashbacks and new unit doors will spruce it up for next to no cash. If you don't have the budget to replace the kitchen, you can do things with the kitchen that's here. I'd leave the lino on the floor because it's not bad, the lino.
Yeah.
And the boiler, which is really ugly there, you could build a box around the pipes at the back. I'm also not convinced by Stuart's idea of turning the small junk room off the kitchen into an office. I'd be more tempted to have this as a breakfast room. Just take the door off its hinges, put seagrass on the floor because it's quicker and easier to lay, and maybe paint a nice dark colour to give it that kind of cosy dining room feel, to stop it feeling like an annex on the end of the kitchen.
Oh, that's good.
And he doesn't need to put in a new bathroom suite. Stuart's may be dirty, but it will scrub up fine. All he really needs to do is get a new loo seat, change the flooring, and give the whole thing a good clean. It's not offensive, it's all white and the tiles are fine. The basin is absolutely ridiculous, though. It's just a question of changing the basin, changing the loo seat, and a new shower rail. Stuart must think carefully about how best to spend his money. Remember, this is about maximum profit for minimum cash. There is one extra job Stuart hasn't thought of, which I think he should consider. If he builds a dividing wall in the living area, he could create separate living and dining rooms. This would cost him as little as £400 and make the property more attractive to the market I think he should be aiming for. Before you even start work, you need to think about the kind of person most likely to buy your house. Plaistow packed with families attracted to the cosy, cottagey style of the traditional terraced houses. This house on Stuart Street sold almost overnight for more than his target price of $110,000. But Stuart's a trendy 30-something bachelor and new to the property developing game. And it looks like he's about to fall at the first hurdle by doing the place up in his own taste.
The advice that I've been given is to make it have a cottagey feel and to appeal to a family, say. So to paint the walls darker colours and just make it more traditional. But what I like in the houses is a more modern, minimalist kind of feel to it. So what I want to do is sand floor walls, put the trendy hole in where the gas fire was, make the walls lighter, and just go with that thing. And what I'm hoping is that modern feel will actually be a selling point.
Oh dear. But there is another new developer in Plaistow who is selling modern bachelor pads. Does Stuart know something I don't?
Well, we were pioneering, and whenever you pioneer, you're obviously a little bit apprehensive, but you have to be bold and you have to go ahead and do what you believe in. You have to look at the fundamentals of the area. You have a tube station dead opposite, which gets you into town in 10 minutes, into the city. You have Canary Wharf, which has got 2 new towers in, employing another 20 or 30,000 people. It is radical, it is different. We try to break the rules, and definitely there's a market for products which are different. But there's a big difference between having a block of 30 or 40 flats and having a one-off terrace house. If you take a Victorian cottage and then be very radical inside, you're probably moving away from the market who will stand outside and say, this looks lovely, it's a great little Victorian cottage. They'll walk inside and it's not what they expect, and it's probably not what they want.
So even if trendy city types are lured out to Plaistow, they're unlikely to want their cutting-edge design in a typical 2-up, 2-down. And buyers who like the traditional Victorian exterior are hardly likely to want a sleek modern look inside. Well, I've still got time to work on Stuart about the finished style, but he's getting cracking.
I'm absolutely terrified about this, actually. Can you tell?
You may save money by doing the work yourself, but you mustn't skimp on the basic tools. Stuart's spending £100 just to get started.
I'm excited about it, but because I'm picturing the finished result, and the picture I have is an absolutely professional job. Fantastic. I expected a hole. This stuff's bloody solid. 10 minutes bashing them on, I'm exhausted.
He's done the odd bit of DIY before, but can Stuart master specialist skills like plastering? Never forget, bad DIY seriously reduces your property's value. If Stuart wants that sleek modern finish, he's going to have to do better than that. If you're short on cash, an invaluable resource is your mates. Stuart's lucky to have ex-builder Richie with him when he uncovers a nasty concrete block in the living room floor. Buying antique floorboards is expensive, so Richie's got a plan: to use boards from the bedroom. They're the same age and colour as the ones downstairs, and the cheap new boards are going to be carpeted over so they won't be seen. A simple idea, but even laying floorboards can lead to tension.
No, I'm determined. I want to know what's going on here. We're going to use this little bit.
Yes, and then we're putting this bit in there.
That's dead.
And that bit in there like that.
That's a
this
bit
one
weird.
goes in there like that. And then the rest of them come in. Have you done this before? Have you? No. Well, clear off. Go on. Don't play. You're getting on my nerves.
It's my house.
I know it's your house.
The cost of the hitch, just £50, but on such a tight budget, every penny counts.
So how's it been going, generally, doing the house?
All right. I mean, it's been exhausting.
You're obviously highly motivated.
I've got a tendency to sort of do a bit and sit down and have a wee look at it and go, oh, God, look how much I've got to do, and scare myself.
While your initial enthusiasm is up for the property, you need to get it done then, because if you don't motivate yourself at the beginning, it's going to be very difficult to motivate yourself at the end.
Stuart's sanding the floorboards downstairs. It's hard, dusty and dirty work, but it is the cheapest way to get a new floor. The sander cost £160 for 2 days hire, and if buyers don't want strip boards, they can always carpet over them. Stuart's only just getting started. He's already spent £400, and there's still a long way to go. Struggling actor Stuart Bowman's got just £3,000 to do up his 2-bedroom house in East London. Sanding floors cost him £160, buying new boards £52, starting the fireplace £66. Basic tools cost £91, a total of almost £400. But Stuart may soon be able to stop counting the pennies. At last, he's got a job in a TV advert.
So what are you going to do with this money? Are you going to try and spend more on the house?
Well, it just gives me flexibility, a bit more flexibility.
There still is the ceiling level on the house, so you don't really want to spend any more money on it, because you still want to make your profit on it. So it's a good idea to still be reining back, but obviously life is more relaxed now.
The ceiling level is the highest price you can get for a property. To work out the ceiling price of your property, look at the cost of similar places on the market. But always compare like with like. This 2-bedroom house in Plaistow has just been sold for £110,000. And this one's valued at £115,000. It's got lots of original features and the style is very traditional. But this house sold in days for £119,000. Why? Well, it's in a better location, and it's in the country cottage style Plaistow buyers want. I think the ceiling price of Stuart's house is around £115,000.
Sweat on my forehead. Yes, I'm a working man.
So despite his new job, if he wants to make a good profit, he must stick to his original £3,000 budget. There's only one way to raise the ceiling price on your property, and that's to add a room. This studio flat in an affluent area of London was bought for £175,000 just over a year ago. The first-time developer spent £35,000 creating a separate bedroom and redecorating throughout. The flat's now been valued at £270,000. That's a profit of almost £100,000. The most common way of adding another room is to convert your loft, but a proper conversion can be very expensive. This loft in Surrey cost £15,000, but it added £65,000 to the asking price. However, Stuart's loft is in Plaistow, a world away from Surrey. He's got enough space to create a third bedroom, but I've checked thoroughly and 3-bed houses in the area don't sell for much more than £120,000. So the extra room would increase his ceiling price by £5,000, but it would cost him at least £10,000 to do, which means he'd be throwing £5,000 away. So he needs to make the most of the space he's got, and he's doing just that in the garden. Think of your garden as another room. A well-presented garden can add as much as 10% to a property's value. But you need to consider what will appeal most to your buyers. Stuart's making a good choice laying a lawn. Remember, sort out your garden early. Grass and shrubs need a chance to get established. There's also plenty you can do to make the most of your inside space, an area which some architects specialise in. One of them, Peter Crawford, agreed to share some top tips with us.
The first thing to do if you're trying to design your own flat or your own house is to start right at the beginning with a piece of paper and just draw the existing walls and then start considering which function would suit which space the best. And one of the most cost-effective decisions that you can make then is to establish where the drains are. Within a tight budget, it's not a good idea to move the kitchen and the bathroom far from wherever they are at the moment. You might swap them over. Bathrooms, I try and keep the loo and basin and so forth off the floor. You judge how big a room is by looking at the floor. If there are things on the wall, you don't take those into account, so the room will feel bigger. Kitchens nowadays, a lot of them are now coming on legs so that you see the floor surface going underneath the kitchen unit. That gives you a greater sense of space. The next stage is the smaller scale things. You have a similar kind of colour scheme, a similar sort of textures running through the house or through the flat. That will also give a greater sense of space. Don't, for goodness sake, have the red room and the green room and the blue room, because it'll all get terribly tense and busy and hectic.
So to recap, draw your property without labelling the rooms so you can think of how best to use the space. But if moving your kitchen and bathrooms, do remember the drains. Keep things off the floor. And use the same colour scheme throughout. It also helps to imagine your house without any interior walls, so you can rethink the internal layout. The one change to Stuart's layout I really do think he should make is to split the downstairs open plan area into 2 rooms. That's exactly what developers have done to this house near Stuart's. They've also moved the kitchen into the living area and put the bathroom downstairs off the kitchen, thereby creating a 3rd bedroom upstairs. The house has just sold for £120,000. I'm not suggesting Stuart move his kitchen, let alone his bathroom, but I really want him to consider the dividing wall idea. I brought you here to this house because it's exactly the same house as yours and the same layout, but they've divided off the rooms. This is the sitting room, so you've got a proper sitting room here, which is enclosed, which is nice. It's quite a big room as well, isn't it? So here you've got the enclosed staircase. So this is what it would be like if you had the walls. And then this gives you this big room here with the added massive advantage of having loads of storage under the stairs. What do you reckon?
God, it does look good, doesn't it? It feels very big. If you're going for a family, this would make sense, but I love that space that I've got. It's just got a really good feeling, that room. So my house is best.
It'll broaden your market when you come to sell it, having 2 separate rooms.
It would cost a lot of money, it's a lot of hassle, a lot of time, and I just don't feel that the probability of it broadening the market that much is likely. And I've got to go with my personal taste. Otherwise, I think property developing would be a bit dull, really.
Stuart's determination to enjoy himself seems to be becoming a bit of a problem. While he's out spending his first paycheck at the house, nothing's happening. When developing property for profit, time is money. You can't afford to drag your heels. There's nowhere more likely to seduce you into blowing your budget than a kitchen showroom. A great kitchen will help sell your property, but you must make sure that you get back any money you spend. I wanted to make sure Stuart sticks to his £500 budget. So what do you reckon to this? Now, this is really modern.
Oh, this is good.
Stuart could get this whole kitchen for his budget of £500.
It's not going to look an awful lot better than the kitchen you've got now.
I'm convinced Stuart should just jazz up his existing kitchen. Replacing handles, splashbacks and taps will revamp the look and be more attractive than a cheap new kitchen.
I think we really need to look at being a bit more creative with the kitchen you've already got.
Yep.
But with the lure of free kitchen design to tempt you, it can be hard to say no. Perhaps I shouldn't have left Stuart on his own.
Well, I think it's great. It's great. Okay, there's your kitchen, both sides of the wall.
So what have you been up to?
Well, I've been spending a bit of money because I've got some.
But you have been still sticking to your budget on the property, haven't you?
In certain ways, but in certain ways not.
Oh dear. No, so what have you been overspending on?
I'm going to buy a new kitchen.
You're not? Okay, fine. Well, how much is it?
£1,800.
That's quite a lot, considering your budget is £3,000 for the whole house. You can tart this kitchen up, and it'll look great. You don't need to spend £1,800.
I don't think it would look great. It would be all right, but I really hated this kitchen, and I've not known what to do with it.
It's not really about what you like. You're not planning on living in this house. And this is a classic mistake that property developers make. They see something, they like it, so they put it in, and they're not thinking about their figures and what the ceiling price of the property is and what their budget is. You'll regret it when you come to sell the house and you get a smaller cheque in your back pocket.
Stuart's new kitchen won't actually add anything to the value of his house. It's £2,000 less profit.
I can't believe I'm helping you do this, considering it's such a stupid idea that you're getting this new kitchen.
Dry your eyes and keep working.
To get the tile grout off quite often. So the easiest way around it is to skim the walls, which is an added expense.
I made sure Stuart took his old units off carefully so he can sell them in the small ads. He may not like them, but someone else will. But has Stuart already blown his chance to come in on budget? After blowing £1,800 on his new kitchen, Stuart Bowman's got just £500 left of his budget. And he's still got to install and tile the kitchen, carpet upstairs, sort out the staircase and decorate throughout. He really needs to keep his costs down to have any hope of coming in on budget. It's taken Stuart 5 months to get this far. At this rate, he'll never make it to Notting Hill. It's the start of the summer holidays, a difficult time to sell, and even worse, the speculation about what might happen to the market. Stuart needs to get a move on. It's time for a bit of motivation, and there's nothing better than looking for your next challenge. But where to look? If, like Stuart, you know where in London you'd like to live but can't afford it, just follow the tube stops out until you reach somewhere that's in your price range. It's the same rule all over the country. In the last couple of years, the south coast town of Brighton's rocketed out of most people's price range. A year ago, a two-bedroom flat in this street sold for £105,000. It's now for sale again, this time for £165,000. But Eastbourne, just 30 minutes away, is much more affordable. Traditionally the preserve of the Blue Rinse Brigade, it's now starting to become trendy. But there's still time to bag a bargain. This two-bed house is on the market for just £55,000, a third of the price of the Brighton flat. Stuart dreams of pricey Notting Hill, but just 10 minutes away is Harlesden. It's much cheaper, and I think it's on the way up. It's got all the right signs: a busy shopping centre, plenty of cafes, good transport links, lots of estate agents, and plenty of well-known banks, chain stores and supermarkets. I found an ideal second property for Stuart to develop. It's more of a challenge than his Plaistow house, but it will make him more money. The two-bedroom flat needs modernising. It looks shabby and the decor is dated, but there's plenty of space that could be better arranged.
This is the flat that stacks up best of the ones that I've been looking at for you to buy. This room is a sitting room. It's got a fantastic ceiling. That'll be really fun to take down. So this will be the main bedroom.
God,
which has got
some evil stuff down
fabulous carpet and another original fireplace.
Oh, that's a nice one, isn't it?
Period features are always a bonus.
Oh, fantastic.
Aren't they mad covering that up?
No, amazing.
When they're trying to sell a home.
Old fixtures are easy to replace, but total rewiring can be very expensive. Check sockets for earth wires. If there aren't any, you're looking at more than £3,000. The second bedroom's small, but large enough for a double bed.
Not much else, really.
The kitchen's small, but adequate.
It's big enough, isn't it?
The bathroom, though, is tiny, with completely unnecessary walls.
It's a bad layout.
It is, isn't it?
I think it should be totally knocked out and a new bathroom built inside the spacious but badly organised breakfast room. It would cost about £2,000. A garden can make or break a property, but always check what you are really getting. This flat comes with only half the garden.
I'm fairly convinced that you'd pick up this flat for probably just less than 100. Now, if you develop this flat, it would be worth about £145,000. And so you could well stand to make a £25,000–30,000 profit on this flat.
It's a good little flat and it's a very good little price as well.
You could actually get your house back on the market within 2 or 3 weeks. Time is money, and you could put an offer on this. By the time it gets to exchange, you could have finished your house, have it under offer. There's no reason why it needs to take several months to finish your house.
I'm starting just gradually to see myself more, to see the possibilities of property development, actually. This place is got the cogs going.
Oh, that's good.
This slightly larger two-bed up the road has just been developed. It looks good, but it's been done very cheaply and is now on the market for £165,000. With the promise of serious money to be made, Stuart gets back to work. Next up is that bathroom he wants to replace.
I haven't been able to persuade you about the kitchen, but I feel very strongly that you can get away with the bathroom as it is. I've cleaned out bathrooms that look a lot worse than this in rental flats.
Well, I'm not entirely convinced. The toilet is absolutely disgusting. I've tried cleaning it, failed miserably. But if you can persuade me, I would be delighted.
Caustic soda is the only way to get an old toilet really clean. It takes about 2 hours to work its magic.
OK, while we're waiting for that to work, we can get on with cleaning the rest of the bathroom. We're going to bleach the tiles, get the lime scale off the taps, and give the bath a jolly good clean.
If you can't afford to replace the tiles, bleaching and regrouting should do the trick. But do be careful with tile paints. They can end up looking cheap.
Just get in that corner and clean it a lot.
It's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it. So what do you think?
Fantastic. That is just great. I really did not think that you were going to get that off, so well done. And all I need to do is buy that sink, which is great.
The best place to find a really cheap bathroom suite is a discount shop that supplies hotels and businesses. I persuaded Stuart to save money by not splashing out on a whole new suite, but you can get a loo, a bath and a basin for less than £150.
Now, this is the sort of basin that I feel you ought to be getting.
Do you?
On limited funds, it's better to stick to the plain white sanitary ware in a simple style. Decorative mouldings or reproduction details can look tacky. New taps can transform the look of a bathroom for next to no cash. If you opt for a plain style, it's almost impossible to tell if they're cheap or expensive. But avoid brass or gold. They look cheap even though they're not. The £1,800 Stuart spent on his kitchen didn't include installation, so he's been hit with another extra cost. Stuart's having to pay carpenter friend Magic £80 a day to put the kitchen in and make banisters. When it comes to paint, darker colours will give a more cottagey look and hide any lumps and bumps. But Stuart wants to paint the walls stark white.
I think you'd be better off going for a stronger colour, partly because the very pale colours, they look great if you've got perfect walls, and although the lining's fine, it's not brilliant. It's a really big false economy to not go for sample pots. You just wouldn't believe how many times I've bought 5 litres of paint that I'm fairly certain is right. Yeah. You paint one wall, realise it's absolutely hideous, and it's a very expensive mistake. This is the colour I think would look really great.
God, no, I like everything. So let's see. Oh, it does.
Actually, that's a lovely colour.
That one's revolting. I'm not doing that. That one, I think, kitchen. So, yeah, that colour there, it's just dark and rich and nice and creamy and lovely.
When it comes to carpet, Stuart needs to spend as little as possible. That means end of lines or finding a warehouse that supplies the trade.
Something like that, I can probably get done 30 metres, between £300 and £400 fitted.
Right, yeah.
This is what's known as a twist pile carpet, about £10 or £12 a metre. It's got 5-year guarantee. Right. This is a velvet pile. Right.
When developing, stick with neutral colours such as beige. They look great and will help sell the property.
Alternatively, you could go very cheap. You could probably lay this for about £3 a metre, because it's a man-made fibre, but it would sell the property for you, and it would last.
You don't have to spend that much money to get a carpet that looks good, so don't be tempted by anything fancy.
There are other options, sisals, mattings. For £20 a metre, you could get that laid. It's a very nice look. A good carpet layer can make a very cheap carpet look very good.
Right.
And a bad carpet layer can make a very expensive carpet look rubbish.
Oh, God. Choices, choices, choices. Oh, what's that? Wait a minute. The instructions are filled already. 5 litres and it's meant to slip into there. The 14-inch fill tube fits a 5-gallon container. 5 litres.
Stuart's ignoring my advice and painting the downstairs white. Well, on his head be it.
That's impressive. That's impressive. Look at that!
I'm not sure his lining skills are up to such an unforgiving colour.
So far, so good. Look at that. Except look at my wallpaper. There's just air bubbles galore.
Stuart's also decided to put up just one banister. He thinks it's an artistic statement, but Magic's not convinced.
You can see what it's going to look like now. It's already in, basically.
Yeah.
So it looks stupid, doesn't it?
No.
I think it does.
Well, let's do one side, see what it looks like, and then if it doesn't look right or I'm worried about safety, we can always do the other side again.
Yeah, but you and I both know that you've got no intention of doing the other side, have you?
That's his maybe.
The one-sided banister doesn't look too bad. But once again, Stuart's doing what suits him and not thinking of his buyers. One banister may be better than none, but the stairs are still dangerous for young children. But Stuart just won't be told.
I have been given a lot of advice about what people think I should do with the house, and I've ignored a lot of it. The choices I have made that I've, been worried about, I'm very pleased with the results of them, and I am looking forward to doing it again, actually. God, I never thought I'd say that.
So the end's now in sight. But will Stuart's hard work and stubborn attitude be enough to get him out of Glasgow? Stuart Bowman's having a difficult time. It's an experience familiar to every developer. He's been let down by his tradesmen and the situation's getting desperate.
Hello there. Are you the tiler, yeah? I've got a bit of a tiling emergency, basically. I was meant to have a tiler come this morning, and I've got a whole load of jobs that sort of rely on this getting done. Is there any chance of you getting... Hello? He's hung up on me. I can't believe this. It's a nightmare. It's a pain in the arse, but I'm going to have to do it. I'm just going to have to try it.
The final stages of a project are absolutely critical because it's the finish that creates that all-important first impression. There's no point in spending £2,000 on a new kitchen if you're going to do a bodge job on the tiling.
It's all right.
Against my advice, Stuart's blown £1,200 on trendy carpets, including £150 to lay them. If he'd gone for cheaper ones, he could have spent just a quarter of the price. More money wasted, more profit thrown away. But he did manage to save a little money. He found his new sink in a skip.
God, that couldn't have been a better size. It's bloody hard work, this, and it takes a hell of a lot of planning. It takes a hell of a lot of organisation. Everything takes 3 times as long as you expect.
But however exhausted you are, always remember, if there's one thing guaranteed to reduce the value of your property, it's bad DIY.
Gap down here, gap up here. Mess. I laid this floor at about 11 o'clock at night, which is not a good idea. Bad job, very bad job. I'm not proud of this. It's fine just now. I'm going to tape it up, I'm going to paint it, and that'll be fine. Many tiles have come up. Yesterday about 15 came up. We didn't put enough adhesive on. But if they come up, I just put them down again, and then I'll leave them. I am just knackered. The last 4 days, I have just been working for 16 hours a day. Fell asleep in the bath at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Now you're getting towards the end of doing up your house. I know you've been thinking about all the building work, but it's really important for you to also think about how you present the house. You need to keep it tidy and keep it clean and pick up your clothes, and also think about actually the furniture that you are going to arrange in each room. And you may have to go out and buy some cushions or a throw, buy some flowers, make it look nice, because at the end of the day it does make an awful lot of difference.
I advise keeping back a good sum for dressing your property to sell.
No.
Stuart's spending £500 on furniture and accessories.
That'd be pretty, wouldn't it? And then folk would walk into the house and they'd go, ooh, lovely, look what we can have, and then they'd buy my house. Maybe. I think that one's better than that one.
Keep your colour scheme in mind and choose furnishings that match. It's not money wasted, as you can take your buys to your next property. Before your valuers arrive, it's best to throw out as much personal clutter as possible. And what you can't bring yourself to get rid of, hide. Finally, after 6 months and a lot of hard labour, the house is finished. In the kitchen, Stuart ripped out the perfectly good white units and lino flooring. He replaced them with a trendy silver kitchen and natural slate floor. He carried the slate through to the kitchen annex at the back, where he's hoping to appeal to city types with an office rather than my idea of a family breakfast room. But he did follow my advice in the bathroom by throwing out the carpet and keeping the suite. He's cleaned it up, changed the loo seat and put down a new wood veneer floor, which looks great and cost just £9. He's taken 2 bare, boring bedrooms. And by laying carpets and adding touches of colour, he's given them a new warmth. Stuart's kept the living and dining rooms open plan, and he's really gone for that modern look. The old sofa and 60s fireplace have been replaced. Now it's all clean lines and a sleek white contemporary feel. He's even borrowed designer chairs. He really is going for that singles market. The desolate garden's been turned into an outdoor room with a new lawn, and he's planted early enough for shrubs to establish and flowers to be out. But let's not forget, all this style is for one thing only: maximum profit. So finally, it's finished. How much have you actually spent?
Just over £7,000.
Oh my goodness. That's more than twice your initial budget.
Yeah, it is.
Where did you spend this extra money?
Well, in here, a lot of it, the kitchen was a hell of a lot more than I had expected to be. The carpets were more. And labour, actually.
I have to say, it only goes to show how important it is to budget very carefully at the beginning of a project and stick rigorously to the budget, because it is so easy to get carried away.
Yeah, if I was going to do it all again, I'd do a lot of things differently. Good though, isn't it?
Well, I have to say, yes, it does look really nice, but what really matters is what it's worth. So let's see what the estate agents say.
I value this house at £115,000.
I value this hat at £115,000.
I value this house at £110,000.
The living area is excellent. It's well designed. I like the colours.
When you take a closer look, it's very, very much a DIY job.
The one banister definitely is a bad idea, just literally for the safety aspect of it. You're looking at young children walking up and down the stairs.
You should have put in a second banister.
It strikes me as someone who's possibly tried to be clever and not been particularly clever.
The fireplace I found was literally a waste of space. It looked completely naff.
The kitchen units are very nice. The kitchen isn't.
It's perhaps too trendy, too modern. That should have been turned slightly down so it's not towards a Pacific taste.
It wouldn't have cost very much more money to have finished the kitchen very nicely. Could have done a lot better with the kitchen, particularly for the money that's been spent. Upstairs is plain, it's simple, it's neat, and it's tidy. The bathroom has been finished nicely. The floor would not have been a great expense, but looks good and will give a good impression.
The garden is, again, excellent. It's got nice lawn area.
Probably the garden's got more character than the inside of the house.
The extension would have been more useful if it had been used as a breakfast room. I think the most likely buyer is going to be a family, and I think you should have gone for the more homely, traditional style. The look is just too contemporary.
It hasn't been finished with any real class. Somebody will want to come in, and within a few months, if not before, they want to redecorate most of the house again.
Well, I hate to say I told you so. Now, we've had 3 estate agents in to value the house.
You were hoping for £110,000, weren't you?
Yeah.
They valued it at £110,000 and two at £115,000. Are you pleased with that?
Not really, no.
I actually think you've been quite lucky because the market has risen. But they all did say that if the finish was better, you would have got a little bit more money.
Right.
The agents also said that the kitchen was too contemporary for the house, which is why right from the start I've tried to encourage you to go for that cottagey look, because it just is more forgiving for a rougher finish.
Yeah. And I ignored you completely.
But the good news is that you bought your house for £90,500. You've spent £7,000 on it. But if you sell it for £115,000, you're going to make a £17,500 profit, which even after fees is a pretty healthy profit. So you're going to get your house on the market now?
No. I'm absolutely exhausted, actually. This has been a lot more stressful than I imagined it to be. I'm going to stay here for a while and then reassess in a few months' time.
I have to say, I think you're absolutely mad. You've done all this hard work. To not sell it now would be so stupid. The whole point of property developing is that you sell this house, you get your profit out, you move up the property ladder. If you don't, you could end up never getting to Notting Hill and stuck in Plaistow forever.
Well, that makes absolute sense. I'm not saying that I'm never going to do it, but I'm just not going to do it yet.
The extra £4,000 Stuart spent on his house didn't add a penny. If he hadn't spent so much on the kitchen and carpets, he could have spent more on the finish and avoided his DIY nightmare that's ended up lowering his valuations. But I must say, I think Stuart's big mistake is to give up at the first hurdle and not sell his house. With the money he could make here, he'd be able to get the professionals in on his next property and still make a killing. The first steps up the property ladder are the hardest. You need to turn over as many properties as possible, as quickly as possible. This means 2 or 3 years of hard graft. But my advice is, don't give up. Stick with it. It will get easier, and the profits will get bigger.